My wife didn't know I was under the sink when she told her sister she was moving out. I finished renovating the kitchen anyway. Hey, Reddit. Been a long-time lurker. Never thought I'd be here sharing my own story. But here I am. Raw, hurt, and trying to keep my hands busy so I don't lose my mind. This happened just last week. It still stings like a dropped hammer on your bare foot, but I need to get this off my chest. My wife Catherine and I have been married for 7 years. We bought our modest fixer-upper about 3 years ago. 3 bedrooms, solid bones, ugly as hell inside. Outdated flooring, old cabinets, fixtures from another era. But I'm in renovation. I saw potential, like I thought I saw in us. Our marriage felt a lot like the house. A good foundation, some wear and tear, but nothing I didn't think I could fix with enough time and care. Lately, Catherine had been acting different. Late nights at work, glued to her phone, taking calls in another room. I chalked it up to stress. She was in the running for a big promotion. Naive, I know. She kept nudging me about redoing the kitchen before summer. Picked out the new floors and backsplash herself, excited even. So last Saturday, while she was out for brunch with her sister Helen, I got to work. Tore up the ancient vinyl, started laying the new faux hardwood planks. Figured it'd be a surprise, a gesture, because that's what you do when you're building a future together, right? I was under the sink adjusting plumbing to fit the new cabinet depth, half inside, tools everywhere, when I heard the front door open. Catherine wasn't supposed to be back until later. I was just about to call out when I heard Helen's voice. "Have you told him you're moving out next month?" I froze. My stomach dropped. My blood ran cold. Catherine laughed, an ugly, hollow sound I didn't recognize. "No way. I need to secure my promotion first, then take half the accounts." Then she said something that burned into my brain. "If I leave before the promotion goes through, I might not get it. But once I do, that's an extra 20 grand a year in my pocket." Helen asked if she was worried I'd catch on. Catherine scoffed. "He's too busy playing with his tools to notice anything. Predictable. He'll be crushed, but he won't fight." They moved into the living room, voices fainter but still clear. Turns out she already had an apartment lined up. Had been moving stuff to Helen's place gradually. Even had a secret bank account. 7 years together, and she was talking about me like I was some clueless obstacle. Someone to outmaneuver, not a husband. I lay there under the sink, wrench in hand, body shaking, not from fear, from rage. From betrayal so deep it felt like my ribcage had been split open. They left about 20 minutes later. I didn't crawl out right away. I just stared up at the dark underside of the sink, trying to keep my breathing steady. When I finally stood, the house felt foreign, hollow, like something essential had been ripped out of it. You know what really gutted me? We'd been talking about starting a family. Catherine has PCOS, so we were saving for fertility treatments. $15,000 in a separate account, earmarked for a future she knew would never happen. She was planning her exit while I was planning for kids. My first instinct was to pack a bag, be gone before she got home, or to confront her the second she walked through the door. Scream, demand answers. But then I remembered her words. "He's predictable. He won't fight." And just like that, I knew what I had to do. I went back to work. I laid that floor with mechanical precision. Every board was nailed down with rage and heartbreak. When she walked in around 6 p.m., smiling, saying how great the floor looked, I smiled back, said, "Thanks. Want to order takeout since the kitchen's a mess?" We ate Chinese on the couch. She curled up next to me, acted like nothing was wrong. Later that night, she even initiated sex. And I went through the motions. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed her to keep thinking I was in the dark. Every touch felt like sandpaper. Every "I love you" made me want to scream. But I played my part, because I'm not predictable, and I'm not done. Update. I heard my wife's secret plan to leave me while I was under the sink. Now I'm building her dream kitchen and her nightmare. Hey again, Reddit. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Just lay there next to Catherine while she breathed, steady and deep, her arm across my chest like nothing was wrong. She had no idea I was silently vowing to make her regret every single word I'd overheard. Once she was out cold, I slipped out of bed and got to work. Not on the renovation, but on my own recon. Her phone was locked, but I knew her laptop password. Nothing obvious in her emails, but then I checked our joint bank accounts online. That's when I saw it. Regular transfers to her personal account. $200 here, $300 there. Nothing big enough to raise red flags. But over the past few months, it added up to thousands. She'd been siphoning money from our shared life into her escape plan. I took photos of everything, every transaction, every line item. Documentation would be key. By 3 a.m., I was on the back porch texting my buddy Anthony, "Need to talk. ASAP, marriage emergency." "Not joking," he replied immediately. Bless that man. Lunch, tomorrow, the usual spot. By the time Catherine woke up the next morning, I was already back at work on the kitchen. Acting normal was the hardest job I've ever done. Harder than laying tile, harder than rewiring bad electrical, harder than any renovation I've ever taken on. She kissed me goodbye. "I'm so lucky to have such a handy husband," she said. Then she left for work, like she wasn't secretly planning to gut me like a fixer-upper. The second her car pulled away, I slid down the new cabinets and sat on the floor, shaking. But I wasn't going to be the predictable pushover she thought I was. She wanted a beautiful kitchen? She'd get it. But she'd never get to enjoy it. By Sunday night, the new flooring was almost done. And with every plank I laid, I rebuilt my resolve. Every nail I drove in was a promise. You don't get to win this easily. Catherine was extra affectionate all weekend. Brought me beers while I worked. Complimented everything. "This is going to add so much value to the house," she said. I bet it is. Monday was when the wheels really started turning. Lunch with Anthony lit a fire under me. He listened to everything, then leaned back, eyes burning. "She thinks you're predictable. Prove her wrong. Hit harder than she expects." We made a plan. Step 1, separate finances. Step 2, document everything. Bank records, assets, communications. Step 3, lawyer up. Anthony's brother had gone through a brutal divorce, so we had the playbook. His best advice? Don't show your cards yet. The only advantage you have is surprise. That night, while Catherine was at a work dinner, sure, I took action. Opened a new personal bank account, scheduled a consultation with the divorce attorney Anthony recommended, took photos of every document in the house, tax returns, insurance papers, deeds, receipts. Created a spreadsheet inventory of every major item in the home, purchase date, estimated value, backed up every file. While pulling the old fridge out to prep for the new one, I found something wedged behind it, Catherine's journal. It must have fallen during demo. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I read it. And what I found confirmed everything. She'd been planning her exit for months, writing about feeling stuck, about starting her next chapter. And then there was a name. Ryan, a guy from work, mentioned often. No smoking gun, but plenty of smoke. The entry that crushed me was dated 3 weeks ago. D is talking about fertility treatments again. I feel guilty, but what's the point? Starting that process now would just complicate the exit plan. She was stringing me along with lies about our future while already packing for hers. When she came home that night, smelling faintly of wine, her makeup freshly touched up, I almost lost it. I almost threw the journal in her face, watched her world collapse. But I didn't. I remembered Anthony's advice. Strategic, patient, silent. "Kitchen's looking amazing, babe," she said, kissing my cheek. "You're so talented. This is going to add so much value to the house. Oh, I bet it will. Just want you to be happy, I replied. The words were acid in my mouth. I am happy, she said, smiling, lying straight to my face like she didn't just plan a future without me. Tuesday morning, she left early for a big presentation. I called in sick. Spent the day gathering everything. Photocopies of all important documents, screenshots of every account, photos of assets, backups of digital files, notes from the journal. I built a digital war chest. By Tuesday night, I had a complete picture of our life. Every penny, every possession, every plan. The kitchen was nearly done. Just the backsplash and sink left. When Catherine got home, she was giddy, talking about throwing a dinner party to show off our progress. The audacity. She wanted to parade her husband's handiwork to the same friends she'd keep after cutting him loose. That's when it hit me. I hadn't misread the foundation of our marriage. It wasn't cracked. It was rotten through. Something wrong? She asked. I must have looked haunted. Just tired, I said. Been pushing hard to get this done for you. She smiled, satisfied. It'll be worth it. This kitchen is going to be amazing. Yeah, I replied. It really is. My wife didn't know I overheard her plotting to leave me. The kitchen she wanted? Almost finished. So is my plan. You have no idea how amazing this is going to be, I told her, turning back to the sink installation, and I wasn't lying. As I worked late into the night, I could hear her on the phone in our bedroom, voice low, probably talking to Helen, or maybe Ryan. At that point, the names didn't matter. What mattered was what I was going to do next. By Wednesday morning, I had the bones of my plan in place. 5 days. That's how long I figured I'd need to finish the kitchen, lock down my side of the finances, and get everything prepped. 5 days of pretending. 5 days of carefully crafted deception. 5 days until she would regret every single word she said under that sink. And she wouldn't see a damn thing coming. Day 1. Wednesday. Woke up with this eerie sense of clarity. Catherine was already gone. Early meeting, according to her text. The house felt different. Not like a home anymore. More like a property mid-flip, stripped down, potential hiding under all the mess. I had my consultation with the divorce attorney. Brought copies of everything. Bank statements, journal pages, lease agreements, screenshots. She didn't flinch. Told me I was incredibly lucky to have caught this early. In my state, it's not illegal for a spouse to drain joint accounts if the money hasn't been explicitly protected. If Catherine had acted first, she could have cleaned me out and left, me picking up the pieces. So that afternoon, I opened a new account at a completely different bank. Moved exactly half of our joint savings, $37,000. Not a penny more than my share. I wasn't going to play dirty, but I also wasn't going to be her doormat. Then I got back to work on the kitchen. The backsplash was a nightmare of a herringbone. Pattern. Catherine's pick, of course. Tedious, high effort, but stunning when done right. Just like the rest of my plan. Catherine got home around 7, carrying takeout again. She mentioned her promotion might come through earlier than expected. My stomach dropped. Her entire exit plan was timed around that promotion. She also showed me some new shoes. 3rd pair this month. The old Catherine was thrifty. This new one was spending like she already lived alone. Once she went upstairs, I texted Anthony an update. He replied instantly. Good first steps. Tomorrow we go nuclear on Operation GTFO. Day 2. Thursday. Today was about intel. While Catherine was in the shower, I photographed every valuable item in the house and updated my spreadsheet. Purchase dates, who paid for what, everything. I glanced at her planner while brushing my teeth. She had a meeting with Janine at 1 p.m. Janine, the same friend who had coached her own divorce like a heist movie. Confirmed. Catherine was prepping for the big escape. Around noon, I installed a parental control monitoring app on our shared laptop. Catherine used it more than I did, and I needed eyes on her digital world. By mid-afternoon, the backsplash was done. I moved on to installing the matte black cabinet handles. Again, her expensive choice. Anthony swung by after work with pizza and beer. We sat on the back deck, out of earshot from any curious neighbors. I filled him in. "Am I overreacting?" I asked. Anthony looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "She opened a secret account. She's moving her stuff. She's planning to ditch you right after a kitchen reveal." "No, dude. You're underreacting." We heard Catherine's car in the driveway. Anthony ghosted out the back gate. She walked in, glowing. Said her promotion was basically a done deal. Offer coming Monday or Tuesday. That night, as she snuggled up to me in bed and asked if the kitchen would be done by Saturday. Thinking of having a few friends over, I said, "It'll be done tomorrow, ahead of schedule." After she fell asleep, I checked the monitoring app. New emails. Catherine and Helen discussing the lease on the new apartment. Signed yesterday. Move-in date. Exactly 4 weeks from today. Day 3, Friday, grind time. The kitchen was almost done, but I had final touches to wrap up. Under cabinet lighting, caulking paint touch-ups. First, I went to our safe and removed my grandmother's jewelry. Catherine sometimes wore it, but it was never hers. I boxed it up and drove it straight to my parents' house for safekeeping. Next stop, the bank. I closed our joint credit card, opened a new one in just my name, with a different bank. Then I called the fertility clinic. We had about $15,000 in a shared account for treatments we'd never started. Told them to refund the money to my new account. Back home, I installed the final piece of molding and felt something twisted. Pride, satisfaction, I'd built. Something beautiful she'd barely have time to enjoy. But I wasn't done yet. I had one last feature to install. I removed the new cabinet under the sink, the one I was working in when I overheard her secret plan. Inside the wall behind it, I sealed a Ziploc bag. Inside, a printed transcript of everything I'd heard her say that night, screenshots of her bank transfers, a copy of the lease she signed, her journal entry about faking interest in fertility treatments. Was it petty? Yes. Was it satisfying? You have no idea. When Catherine got home, she screamed, literally screamed, when she saw the finished kitchen. "It's even better than I imagined." She took 1,000,000 photos. Kitchen Reno. Dream kitchen. Blissful home life. Later that night, she came downstairs in lingerie I'd never seen before. Said she wanted to properly christen the new kitchen. For a second, I almost cracked. Almost told her I knew everything. But I didn't. 2 more days. Just 2 more days until this fake smile would be gone. For both of us. My wife didn't. No, I overheard her, but she's about to find out. Sunday morning felt different. You know that calm before demo day, when the tools are laid out, the space is quiet, and you're just waiting to swing the sledgehammer? That was me. Sitting at the kitchen island, coffee in hand, storm clouds gathering outside, everything in place. Catherine wandered in around 9 Sue, yawning, oblivious. She poured herself coffee and started talking about lunch prep. Her parents were coming over at noon. Her idea. She wanted to show off the kitchen. Perfect. I nodded along, checking my phone one last time. Every piece of the plan was locked in. 7 years of marriage were about to collapse, and I wanted to be fully present for it. Her mom texted. They were running 15 minutes late. Catherine looked irritated. She hated delays. While she chopped vegetables, I set my phone up on the windowsill, angled at the kitchen island, and hit record. Not for legal reasons. My state requires 2-party consent. But for me. For when she tried to rewrite the story later. At 12:15, the doorbell rang. Tom and Diane, her parents, arrived, a little damp from the rain, but cheerful as ever. Tom complimented the exterior paint job I did last summer. Diane brought flowers for the table, always thoughtful. I'd always liked her parents. That made what I was about to do even harder. Catherine led them on a grand tour of her new kitchen, pointing out the backsplash, the under-cabinet lighting, the matte black finishes. All my work. But you'd think she built it herself. Her parents made all the appropriate noises, oohs and ahs. Tom asked about the cost. Catherine waved it off with a smile. "We'll talk numbers later." I nearly laughed. She had no idea what numbers we were actually going to talk about. Back at the table, Catherine served lasagna, her mom's recipe, one of the few things she cooked well. Conversation flowed easily, and then, right on cue, we got to Catherine's favorite subject, her promotion. She lit up, telling her parents how excited she was, how it meant more money, a new chapter in her career. She even reached across the table and squeezed my hand while saying it. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Tom raised his glass. "To Catherine, onward and upward." We clinked glasses. She basked in the spotlight. That's when I set my glass down, slowly, deliberately. "Actually," I said, "I have something to share too. Something I discovered last weekend, under the sink." The air shifted. Catherine froze, her smile twitching. Confusion flickered across her face. I unlocked my phone, tapped a few times, then set it in the middle of the table. Play. Her voice filled the room. "I'll be gone in 6 weeks, tops. He's so focused on the kitchen he won't even notice the lease is in my name." "No. I haven't told him. Why should I? He'll just fix up another house. He's good at that." Laughter. "It's not that cruel. He's not some lost puppy. He'll survive. Probably thank me one day." The room was silent except for her voice playing through the speaker. Every word I'd overheard that night, every piece of her plan. When the recording ended, I didn't speak. I didn't need to. Catherine looked like she'd been slapped. Her mother gasped. Tom stared at the table like it had just betrayed him. I let the silence stretch, let her sit in it. Then I pulled a folder from the cabinet behind me, dropped it in front of her. Inside, her signed apartment lease, the hidden, bank transfers, a printout of the fake fertility journal entry, and a notarized letter from my attorney. "That's your timeline," I said. "But this is mine." She didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. I stood up. "You won't be hosting your work team next weekend. You won't be living here by the end of the month." I looked at her parents, real people with real hearts who had just watched their daughter's mask get ripped off. "I'm sorry you had to see this, but it's better you know who she really is." And with that, I walked out. Epilogue. I'm staying at Anthony's for now. The house will go up for sale next month. My lawyer is handling everything else. The kitchen looks great in the listing photos. I won't lie. There are moments when I miss her, not the version. That betrayed me. The version I thought I married. But then I remember her text to Helen the night we christened the kitchen. Almost feel bad about the timing, but not really. He'll find another house to fix up. LOL. She was right about one thing. I will find another house. But next time, I'll be the one choosing who gets to live in it with me. The day my wife realized she chose the wrong contractor. So many of you asked for the conclusion to my story. Well, here it is. Pour yourself a drink. This one's a ride. Sunday morning, calm before the demo. Sunday felt different. You know that quiet, focused feeling right before you swing a sledgehammer. Tools laid out, safety goggles on, everything prepped. That was me, sitting at the kitchen island, drinking coffee, watching the storm clouds roll in. Catherine came downstairs around 9 completely oblivious. She poured herself a coffee and started talking about lunch prep. Her parents were coming over to see the kitchen. I nodded at all the right times while double-checking everything on my phone. I hadn't slept much, not from nerves, but because I wanted to remember every detail of how this would unfold. At 12:15, the doorbell rang. Her parents arrived, cheerful, despite the rain. Her dad complimented the exterior paint job I did last summer. Her mom brought flowers for the table. I always liked her parents. What came next would hit them hard. Catherine led them on a tour of my kitchen, pointing out the features like she'd built them herself. Her dad asked about the cost. Catherine waved it off, said we'd talk numbers later. I almost laughed. Once we sat for lunch, the conversation turned to her career. Catherine beamed as she talked about her upcoming promotion, how it would mean more money for our future. She even reached over and squeezed my hand, playing the role of loving wife. To perfection. Her dad raised his glass to toast her success. Glasses clinked. Everyone smiled. And that's when I said I had an announcement too. The reveal. I told them I'd discovered something while working under the sink during the renovation. Catherine looked confused. I pulled out my phone, tapped play, and set it on the table. The recording was only 30 seconds, but it hit like a wrecking ball. Have you told him you're moving out next month? No way. I need to secure my promotion first, then take half the accounts. LOL. He'll find another house to fix up. Crystal clear. Catherine and Helen plotting, like I didn't exist. Silence. Her mom finally whispered, "Catherine, was that really you?" Catherine cycled through shock, embarrassment, then rage. She started yelling at me, accusing me of invading her privacy, manipulating the situation, taking things out of context. I let her rant. When she finally ran out of steam, I calmly explained. I hadn't recorded them. I was under the sink, working. I heard every word. Her dad pushed his plate away and asked if it was true, about the apartment, the accounts, the plan to leave. Catherine's tears started, those manipulative ones she used when she got caught. She called me a terrible husband, claimed I'd been distant for years. Her mom took her hand and gently asked why she'd never said anything. That's when I laid it all out, the secret bank account, the lease on the apartment, the jewelry and personal items already moved to Helen's, the texts and emails plotting how to gut our finances. Her dad looked like he'd been punched. Mom had tears in her eyes. Catherine tried one last excuse, accusing me of cheating, said maybe that's why I was doing this. I laughed, then pulled up the texts I'd saved from a guy named Ryan at her office. Nothing explicit, but plenty suggestive. Enough to show she wasn't exactly lonely. That's when her dad stood. Said he and her mom needed to leave. The look of disappointment on his face wasn't for me. It was for his daughter. Her mom hugged me and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Her dad shook my hand and said he'd call. They didn't say a word to Catherine. The fallout. As the door shut behind them, Catherine's fake tears vanished. She launched into full meltdown, accusing me of destroying everything, of turning her parents against her. When she paused to breathe, I told her I had one more announcement. While she was busy planning her escape, I was planning mine. I'd moved half our savings to my own account, closed our joint credit cards, reclaimed the $15K we'd saved for fertility treatments, redirected to me, documented every valuable item in the house with proof of purchase. Her face went pale. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking, trying to log into our accounts. When she saw the numbers, the panic hit. She changed tactics. Claimed she was confused, that Helen had put ideas in her head, that it wasn't what it looked like. I asked about the apartment lease, the hidden jewelry, the bank transfers. She had no answers. In pure desperation, she touched. My chest said we could work through it, that she was sorry, that her promotion would benefit us both. I stepped back and told her the paperwork was already drawn up. Divorce filing was happening Monday morning. No alimony. Though I'd supported her through grad school, I just wanted a clean break and what was rightfully mine. That's when it finally hit her. She'd misjudged me completely. I wasn't the passive, predictable husband she thought I was. I'd been 10 steps ahead. The exit. She asked where I was going. I told her I'd be staying with Anthony for a while, moving my stuff out today. She followed me upstairs, still cycling through threats and pleas, worried about her image, her promotion, the house. As I packed, I reassured her. I wouldn't lie, but I wasn't planning to smear her name either. That wasn't my style. Before leaving, I stopped in the kitchen, the one I'd built with my hands. I told her I'd left her one last surprise, something hidden in the walls, a time capsule of our marriage's end. I wouldn't say where or what, just that it was there, and that every time she used that kitchen, she'd wonder. I handed her a folder. Everything. Apartment lease, bank statements, texts, journal entries, originals stored safely elsewhere. Not a threat, just so she'd understand there was no denying any of it. Then I left. Epilogue. Anthony was waiting on his porch with a cold beer. No questions, no judgment, just solid support. Catherine blew up my phone all night. Angry, apologetic, desperate. I didn't respond. Helen called twice. I let it ring. Catherine's mom sent a single text. Thinking of you, hope you're okay. I slept better than I had in a week, even on Anthony's lumpy guest bed. Monday morning, the divorce papers were filed. Monday afternoon, Catherine's promotion was officially announced on LinkedIn. Perfect timing. By Tuesday, she'd removed her relationship status from Facebook. It's been 3 weeks. I've got a new apartment closer to work. I'm keeping busy with projects. Some days are hard. You don't unwind 7 years overnight. Catherine tried to reach out a few more times. Even showed up at Anthony's once. I've stayed no contact except through my lawyer. The house went up for sale yesterday. I guess she doesn't want to live with the kitchen I built her after. Maybe it's the memories. Maybe it's the hidden message she'll never find. Maybe she just needs the money. Whatever the reason, seeing that for sale sign felt like the final piece of demolition. The structure that was our marriage, gone, down to bare earth. And now I'm ready to build something better, on solid ground.